Today I'm gonna try every spell from T.O Magic and Extra, and if you want to see the full showcase with armor, spellbook, and weapons, you should go to my main channel and see that over there. So today we are going to only test all the spells, starting with the new school, the Aqua school. And the first one will be Coral Barrage. When you cast this spell, you choose targets every recast, and at the end of the spell, will shoot corals towards these targets. The higher the level, the higher the damage. Then we have Flood Slash. This one shoots slashes of water, regenerating your mana when you hit a target. Hitting multiple targets will regenerate more mana. Next, we have the Rainfall. Rainfall will start a rainfall around your character, cleansing you from all negative effect and giving everyone inside the wet buff. The wet buff or debuff increase the potency of lightning and ice spell. The higher the level, the bigger the radius. Then we have Echo of the Abyss. You must be underwater to cast this spell, and this one will summon the Hull Breaker. You can ride this Hull Breaker, and it's gonna give you water breathing while riding the Hull Breaker. This spell can only be obtained by slaying the Hull Breaker. Then we have Jet Stream. This one is for Elytra users, and it's basically Fire War Charge. Just like that. Oh my god, what the heck? Where am I? I was 500 blocks high. It is extremely powerful, as you can see, but it can be used without an Elytra underwater to propel yourself almost as fast. Then we have Aqua Missile, which is a long cast that propels Water Bolt towards your enemies. Then we have Hydro Shot. This one shoots a small missile of water. Then we have the Bubble Spray. This is the classic spray spell, and this one also gives the wet effect and the slowness. Then we have Vortex of the Deep. This is a big one. It's going to summon a vortex, give the wet effect, and sometimes bring down lightning onto your targets. Then we have the Tsunami spell. We'll just call forth a tsunami to engulf your foes, giving them also the wet effect. Then we have the Floodgate. That one gives you an effect that gives you a damage cap, meaning that you cannot receive over a certain amount of damage. And if you do, well, there's wave coming out from your body. Oh, I'm out of the... No. And then we have the Tidal Grasp. This one will bring an entity near you and hit them with tremendous force, holy crap, stunning them and weaving them the wet effect, and we also destroyed one of our dummy. So that was all the water spell. Now let's move on to the new blood spell. Call forth the Dead King. This spell can only be found in Catacomb chests, and it is just to fight the Dead King once again with higher chance to get some loot, notably the new Blackout spell. And this one costs 25,000 mana, which means it's only supposed to be cast with a scroll and not a book. And there's some cool music too. And I'm dancing. Yeehaw! Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. There we go. Then we have the Nocturnal Swarm. This one, summon a flock of Vespers to help you in combat. Finally, they're useful. Then we have the Eek Scroll. This one eeks you in the target that you're looking at. That's it. Then we have the Blood Howl. This one casts Howitzer projectile on your enemy. The higher the level, the more shot you can shoot. And finally, we have the Vigor Siphon. This one gives you an effect that lets you do percentage damage to your enemies. So for example, these target dummies have 200 health and I'm bare fist, and I'm doing 18 damage, which is roughly under 10% damage. Now let's move on to the new fire spell. We have Gyro Slash, and you absolutely need the Infernal Devastator to cast Gyro Slash. This is a new weapon that I described in my other video, but when you have this gauntlet, you can use the spell and do a slash. Then we have Ignited Onslaught, and this one summons Ignited Berserker and Ignited Revenant to your side. Meteor Storm, just like the name implies, summons Meteor next to you non-stop. It just follows you around until the effect ends. And it also targets entities. Burning Judgment is just like Ignis's final attack. You leap in front of you, some massive damage. Also, I don't know why it's doing the blue thing, since I don't even have the bracelet. Lava Bomb is, well, just like the Netherite Monstrosity, shoots 3 lava bomb. Watch out, because it will create lava. And finally, we have Annihilation. I don't want to use it in the arena because it's really, really destructive. So let's use it here in this pillager outpost. It's a nuke. It's basically a nuke. Now moving on to the evocation spell, there's only 2. We have the Ashen Breath. This one is like the Ignited Revenant. It is surprisingly loud. Oh my god. Why is it loud like that? It blinds your foes and deal damage. Then we have the Lingering Strain. This one gives you an effect that divides the damage you receive into 4 smaller damage over time. So right now, like, I'm taking damage, but over time. Ah! Now moving on to the Ender spell, we have the Eternal Sentinel. This one will summon an Ender Golem to fight for you. He immediately goes back to sleep. Come on. Hitting anything will wake it up, and he will attack for you. Then we have the Vortex Uppercut. This will create a vortex under a target. You will teleport to it and hit them with a large punch, sending them upward. Well, these are dummies, they don't go upward, but these guys might. Then we have Orbital Orbs. This one will shoot the orbs from the Leviathan in multiple bursts around you, following your target. The higher the level, the higher the number of Abyssal Orbs. Then we have the Void Eruption. This one casts Void Howitzer Projectile that explode at impact. You can recast it multiple times, 1 recast per level of spell. And finally, we have the Cursed Minefield. This one summons the minefield from the Leviathan. When mobs walked into them, they explode, just like that, and these mines cannot go below the Y level of the player. The higher the level, the higher the number of Abyssal Mine. Then we have the Holy Spell, and the first one is the Desert Dweller. This one summons a bunch of Cobaliton and a Wadjet to fight for you. I think they should be in the Blood spell, but whatever. Sword of the Ancient is the same thing, but it summons a Cobalitiator to fight for you. Then we have one of the most complicated spell of the mod, Null Flare. This one can be casted and crouch casted. When you cast it, it's gonna apply some Null Flare ice. If you crouch cast it, it's gonna apply some fire effect. And if both meet on the target, well, as you can see, they got completely destroyed. Wait, hold on, let's do that with these guys. Bam, and bam. The higher the level, the higher the damage, and the higher the AoE. Now, let's go to the Ice spell. We have Cursed Blast, and we don't have dummies anymore. Cursed Blast is pretty much like the Sonic Shriek from the Warden, but you need the Cursed Raid Blade to cast this spell. Cursed Blade is one of the new weapons, but the damage is amplified by the number of soul that your weapon have. Like right now, it did 80 damage for some, holy my god, that's insane. But it resets your soul fragments. Halberd Horizon summons the Halberd from Maledictus in a circle around you. The higher the level, the bigger the circle. This pair will summon the Axe Swing from the Afterganger. The higher the level, the higher the damage and the number of recast. Stiggy Steed summon a Gumworm to fight for you. You can also ride the Gumworm, if I can right-click it. I guess you need the grappling hook. It seems to be bugged just a tiny bit, so I wouldn't recommend riding it for now. Cursed Revenant will summon a bunch of Draugr to fight for you. And Axe of the Doom will summon an Afterganger to fight for you. Now moving on to the Lightning spell, we have the Mechanized Predator. That summons a Prowler and a bunch of Watcher to fight for you. Then there's the Magnetron deployment. That summons, well, a Magnetron to fight for you. To fight? I forgot to tell, the Gumworm can only be obtained by defeating a Gumworm, which, same thing for this one, can only be obtained by defeating a Magnetron. This one doesn't seem to obey at all. Hello? Maybe if I get hit? Oh, there we go. I suggest that you keep some anvil near you to give him more damage when you summon it. Death Laser summon, well, a Death Laser. You cannot move while using the Death Laser unless you have the Energy Unbound Necklace. The Rapid Laser spell, well, shoot Rapid Laser. Then there's the EM Pulse that summons an impulse that stuns enemy. The big question is, does it stun the Harbinger? Please don't grief my arena. No, it does not. No, don't do that, no! Oh, come on. And we have the nature spell. The first one is Primal Pack. And it summons a pack of Deadly Velociraptor and a Tremorsaurus. This one can only be obtained by defeating Velociraptor and a Tremorsaurus. Then we have Aerial Collapse, and this is a really strong one. It lifts your enemies up in the air and make them fall on the ground, ignoring damage cap and dealing percentage damage. Then we have the Stele Cascade, or Steel Cascade, not sure how to pronounce that. But it summons the thing that the Ancient Remnant summon. If you crouch cast, you can summon them around you in a circle. The higher the level, the higher the number of Stele that spawn. And finally, we have the Primordial Steed. This one summon an Atlantitan that you can ride. And finally, we have the Eldritch spell, and the first one is the Forgotten Beast. As the icon implies, this one summons a deadly Forsaken to fight for you. And the fun part is, well, you can ride it. That's really fun. It cannot jump, unfortunately. Then we have the Reversal spell. This one can only be used while wielding a weapon, but it's basically a parry and riposte. Just like that. Oh my god. The higher the level, the higher the damage multiplier is. It can also copy incoming projectile. Then we have the Spectral Blink. This one lets you teleport to any entity in a certain radius that you look at. The new Blackout spell is only dropped from the Enraged Dead King and makes a field of anti-magic, nullifying spells inside this area and also giving darkness to your enemies. Then we have the Shadowed Miasma. This one afflicts any enemy around you with the Abyssal Curse, but it also infuses your weapon so you can deal the curse with your attacks. Finally, we have the Abyssal Blast. This one, well, fires the laser from the Leviathan. It also grieves, so watch out to where you shoot. So these were all the spells. If you don't have Mousy's mobs and Alex mobs, there's now 3 new spells that we need to look at if you have these 2 mods. The first one being the Earth Shatter. This one will turn you into the Geomancer. You don't need the Gauntlet to cast Geomancy. It is working exactly the same way as if you have the Gauntlet. Then we have Solar Flare, which will cast Solar Flare from the Umvuti at every enemy within a certain radius that is augmented by the level of the spell, up to 28 blocks. Also, the higher the level, the higher the time it's gonna last. So it's like if Umvuti is always watching on you. Then finally, we have the Paralyzing Shriek from Alex mobs. It deals damage, but also gives you life steal. And if your enemy have armor, it will also shred their armor really, really quickly. So now this was all the spell from T.O Magic in Extra. So I hope you enjoyed. If you have any question, let me know in the comments. If you want to see about the weapons, the items, and the other things from the mod, go watch the main showcase on my main channel. And as always, you're awesome, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!